Friends, I do not come here as a speaker. I come as a worshipper, as a pilgrim. I went to Boston, where the Pilgrim Fathers came and built this wonderful civilization. And from Boston, I arrived here on Friday. Many memories of Swami Prabhupada come to my mind. This center has been a source of inspiration to me. And it is Swami Prabhupada who sent me to Portland to become the head of the Portland Center. I have nothing to offer to you. I have come to learn, and I come to share some of my experiences in the West with you. 40 years ago, I came to New York. New York greeted me with a blizzard. But after 40 years, I find, although I do not find sunshine here, I found sunshine in Boston. But let us have internal sunshine, because Sri Ramakrishna has come to build the bridge of understanding between the East and the West. Sri Ramakrishna has not offered to the West any new faith. His message is the message of harmony of all religions. The harmony of all religions can be possible when we accept all faiths as valid, authentic and true. Therefore, conversion is not our creed. Proselytization is not our goal. Our goal is to find the golden thread of unity behind apparent diversities and distinctions between one faith and the other faith. To me, as it were, Sri Ramakrishna is a living presence. 60 years ago, in a dark night, I left my home without knowing my future. But he accepted me. And this country also. When I came, many times I wanted to go back to India. But Sri Ramakrishna said, Shaw. Endure, endure, endure. So this endurance is a great message of our great master. But when I am talking from this platform, I will have to think of Western civilization, which has been molded by two streams of thought. One is the Greek thought. Plato and Aristotle gave the Western man his intellectual pride, intellectual honor, intellectual dignity. Dr. Whitehead says all the philosophers after Plato have written only footnotes to Plato. Plato gave reason to be the supreme court of appeal. But Thomas Aquinas accepted Aristotle. Aristotle is the father of scientific method, and Plato is the father of called the ontological or metaphysical philosophy of intellectualism of the West. When Swami Vivekananda came, he found a distinction between reason and faith, and he did not want to solve that problem through the empirical method or intellectual method. He tried to solve the problem by the transcendental method of the East. Now, one poet's beautiful poem comes to my mind. Probably this poet's name is Shelley. Life is a dome with many colored glasses that stains the white radiance of eternity. This intellectual life is like a dome. And as long as we remain in the intellectual plane, we are bound to see the distinction between knower and the known. And that is the reason why the West has accepted dualism as the philosophy of life. Dualism between man and the universe. That is the contribution of the Greek philosophers. But again, as I have said, the two streams of thought. The second stream of thought is the Hebrew thought, or Jewish thought, or thought called biblical thought of the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, you find this distinction between man and God. God is wholly other. So we find the theological stream given by the great theologians like St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. Will remain for a long time until the Western man or Eastern man thinks in terms of personal experience of God in a higher state of consciousness. And in order to attain that state of consciousness, we have to transcend intellect and have to build the gulf or bridge the gulf between science and religion, between action and contemplation, between man and God, between man and woman, between Christians and non-Christians. So Sri Ramakrishna to me is just like a conductor of a symphonic orchestra. He has accepted all faiths, but he has given interpretation of faith as a personal experience of God in a higher state of consciousness, which we call Turiya. Buddhists call Nirvana, and probably the Christian mystics call beatific vision. As long as you remain in the three states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and the state of deep sleep, you are bound to see distinction between knower and the known, between subject and the object, between man and God. But when you transcend your intellectual plane, then you find what you call the real essence of the psychophysical being of man is the Atman, and the real essence of personal God, who is the creator of the universe, is Nirguna Brahman. And Jivan Mukti is the goal of life. That I learned from Swami Turiyananda. When I met Swami Turiyananda in Benares, two things he said. Jivan Mukti Sukha Hetave, that we have come here to attain liberation in this very life. Swami Vivekananda's beautiful lecture in the Harvard University speaks the ideal of man is freedom in this life from old age, disease and death. But when we think of the great theologians, they speak of salvation. Salvation to me is a post-mortem experience. And therefore we have to create a distinction between apparent self and real self. Apparent self may belong to the world of time, but the real self is the witness consciousness. And that is the reason why Einstein is our best friend. When Einstein made time and space to be relative, and his great equation, the energy equal to mass, multiplied by c square, 186,000 per second. Swamiji met not Einstein, but he met Nikola Tesla. Einstein was not well known when Swami Vivekananda visited this country. It was Nikola Tesla. He asked Nikola Tesla, "You scientists have done wonderful thing, you see. You have converted matter into energy. Can you convert energy into matter?" And he bragged that, "Yes, you come to my laboratory." Swamiji went. He tried and tried. He failed. Why? Because he had not the equation. The equation is energy equal to mass multiplied by c squared. He had not the equation. So the equation of the Western man, you can say reality equal to, call it nature. And from nature comes the God, nature's God, as comprehended by thought, R equal to N plus T. But the Sri Ramakrishna's equation will be R equal to man, by transcending thought. And that is the reason why I say life is a dome. There's been intellectual life, we are bound to see distinction between the subject and the object. And also, if you read Kant, German philosopher Kant, you will find that intellect brings, called time, space, and causation. Time, space, these are called the categories of the mind. So as long as we remain in the intellectual plane, we must see an object in space, an event in time, and there also a relationship between cause and effect. Take, for example, today you have come because Sri Ramakrishna's birthday. I have come to worship Sri Ramakrishna. But Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in a hungry mouth there cannot be any religion. Therefore there will be dinner also. And please don't go away without. Yeah. Khali pete dharma haya. That means when the stomach is empty, there cannot be any religion. So whatever it may be, Sri Ramakrishna has come to give not only material food, but also spiritual food. Spiritual food comes when we think in terms of higher values of life. And higher values of life, when I think of higher values of life, I think also realization of God is the supreme purpose of life. As in the language of Sri Ramakrishna, as a lamp cannot burn without oil, similarly a man cannot live without God. Here God means our real self, the Atman. He who knows himself knows God. So we find then, in order to realize God, the method, according to the Eastern thought, is tasmad guruma vigachet. You must find out a teacher. And what is the qualification of a teacher? The teacher must possess, called srotriya. You must know the essence of the scriptures. So, some people think that Sri Ramakrishna did not read the scripture, but he realized the truths of the scriptures. Scriptures became embodied in life and experience of our great master. He is, as it were, Shastra Murti, Vedanta Murti. Vedanta speaks to us that you must have a goal, and you must be able to reach this goal in this very life. And when you reach the goal, you scorn delight and live laborious days and attain perfection, attain immortality, attain Jivan Mukti, freedom from death, freedom from sorrow, freedom from loneliness of life, freedom from meaningless of human existence. So here I will have to speak that I used to go to Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda, but Maharaj was not present. Then some devotees said that the Holy Mother has come from Jairambati. Do you like to see? Then I asked Swami Akhilananda, because Akhilananda was my good friend. It's Akhilananda who introduced me to Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda. And he said, I am going to introduce you to a person who not only speaks of holiness, is holiness himself. So I was very fond of Maharaj, you see. But when the devotees said that the Holy Mother has come, then my mind was drawn to see Holy Mother. When I was there in the Uddbodhan office, Krishna Maharaj Swami Dhirananda asked me this question. I have seen you many times in Balaram Bose's house. Who will take your responsibility? At that time I was a rugged individualist. I did not think of Hindu scriptures to be very bright and very rational. I liked Plato. Plato's Republic and Plato appealed to me very much. But I said to Swami, why? Who will take your responsibility? I've seen you, who will take it? I said, I can take my own responsibility. Why should another person take? There's a kind of weakness of mine. Then Swami said, you do not know anything of spiritual life. You should listen to those people who have lived this life. I said, please tell me, sir. Then he said, suppose you go to a temple. It is all dark, cave temple. You see. And if somebody takes called torchlight, you use flashlight, then you can see the deity and come back unharmed. Similarly, in spiritual life, there is a torch bearer. He shows the way. He takes responsibility. Yes. That in this connection I have to tell you, I have learned this Guru Bhakti from Swami Prabhupada. Although I saw Holy Mother, but I did not think that she was the Divine Mother. Today I am convinced that the hand that touched my head and brought me to this order of Ramakrishna was not the human hand, it was the Divine hand. And so, therefore the Guru, that means the awakener of the soul, dispeller of darkness, he speaks from personal experience of God. So Swami Prabhupada also was very humble, that anything that I have achieved in this life is due to the grace of Maharaj. You see, he was all filled with Maharaj. Then, you see, religion is continuous. So I was living with him for 5 years. I have learned a little bit of called the Guru Bhakti, you see. But the relationship with Guru and the disciple is forced by a mantra. Mantra called the seed mantra. Just like Guru is like a gardener, he plants the seed. But gardener himself has to take care, but here the student has to take care. It is not the business of the gardener, it is the business of the student, the follower. So he has to repeat the name and also visualize the form of the Ishta, chosen ideal. The concept of Ishta is the gift of Tantra Shastra, and the concept of Guru is the gift of Vedanta Shastra. When you use the word Guru, it is symbol and expression of self-identification with Nirguna Brahman, you see. West has not accepted Nirguna Brahman. West has accepted Shaguna Brahman. And that is the reason why Sri Ramakrishna, when he worshipped God as mother, mother is the symbol of Shaguna Brahman. And Nirguna Brahman also, mother is symbol of Shaguna as well as Nirguna. Established relationship with God, God becomes personal. And when we become one with God, in a higher state of consciousness, which we call Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then Shaguna Brahman reveals his true nature as Nirguna Brahman. And that is the reason why Swamiji's great message to the West, man travels from truth to truth and never from error to truth. In Christian faith also, when Swamiji's beautiful message called Christ the Messenger, he speaks about that. When Christ said, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," there, for the common people, the world is like a Deus ex machina, you see. God is outside, extra-cosmic God. But when a spiritual aspirant has reached a little higher state of consciousness, then he feels the presence of God with his own heart, Anturjami, inner ruler, immortal, seated in the heart. That is what Aristotle said, unmoved mover. Unmoved mover, that means God is infinite, but he is the cause. You see, when you read the Genesis, the book of Genesis, let there be light, there was light. That means God as the first cause, or the ultimate cause. But Shankaracharya, Gaudapada, and also Nagarjuna, the great called philosophers of the East, they thought that law of causation is also relative. Some people think that Nagarjuna was a Buddhist, but I do not think so. Only he incorporated some of the teachings of Madhyamika of Nagarjuna. That I accept. But Nagarjuna, it is he, in his Madhyamika says the causation is relative. Pratitta Samutpadavada. So Gaudapada calls it Ajatavada. Ajatavada means non-causality. Causality then means cause has become the effect. That means change, changefulness. Shankara, his philosophy is not Parinamavada. Shankara's philosophy is Vivartavada. In Vivartavada, intellect delimits the limitless consciousness. When you see a mirage, you do not see the desert. When you see the desert, you do not see the lake. And therefore, as long as we accept nama rupa, name and form to be real, we do not see the essence. You see, then avatar comes in the West. You see, Judaism does not accept the doctrine of avatar, but Christianity accepts. But although Christianity has accepted God as an avatar, but God is a redeemer, because this is to Paul, the original sin, vicarious repentance, forgiveness, and salvation by grace. And also when you attain salvation, it is called resurrection. You have a new body. But Shankara will say, if your body is a limitation. Should be no body. And therefore you have to make a distinction that there are not three things called spirit, mind, and body, but three planes of consciousness. When we are in the sense planes, everything is material. But we reach a higher plane of consciousness, everything is an idea of the mind. But when we reach the transcendental plane of consciousness, which is beyond time, space, and causation, there is no distinction between the Pratagatman and the Paramatman. And this is the experience which Sri Ramakrishna had under the guidance of Tatapari. But he found great difficulty to transcend the realm of personal God. Sri Ramakrishna said that I cannot take my mind away. It is easy for me to take my mind away from the external world of human beings or humans or other forms, finite forms of nature, but I cannot take away my mind from the form, blissful form of the Divine Mother. Tatapari came from Punjab. He was a sturdy monk, and was a hard taskmaster. Why it must be done? It must be done. He searched for something and found a piece of glass and thrust between his eyebrows. Concentrate your mind there. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, in my imagination, constructive imagination, I thought of the sword of discrimination, cut the form of the mother, and my mind soared to the transcendental beyond, where time stops, causation becomes an image of the dream. So this realization of Sri Ramakrishna gave Swamiji a great desire to experience that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But through the grace of the Master, he attained it. And that is the reason why Swami Vivekananda did not come as a philosopher like Plato or Aristotle. Swami Vivekananda came as a mystic, or better will be as an illumined soul, to give the message of divinity of man, unity of existence, and harmony of all faiths, to be the future religion of tomorrow. And for this, we, his camp followers, do not preach Ramakrishna. We try to live in our humble way and try to incorporate some of his teachings in our life. And today I am convinced that Western devotees are finding peace, inner peace, in this materialistic world where war and rumors of war are spreading over the sky to create a kind of dismal attitude towards men and things of our human life. He has come to bring a real song of life, a real sunshine in the midst of clouds. And for this, I can say that it is Holy Mother's blessing has been the sheet anchor of my life. She has not failed me even once. Some years ago, I had to undergo a major operation. I thought it was the end of the story. At first I was not willing. I was not willing at all. But the doctor was very patient and kind. He said, Swami, you can go, but you'll have to come back. Then it reminded me of Sri Ramakrishna. If you have registered your name in the hospital, and if you want to go away, the doctor may, out of, consideration, may help you, but the disease will not be cured. So then he said, you will have to come back. He said to me also, the operation is the only way. So then I thought of Holy Mother. See, Mother, you have blessed me. And people call you Abhaya, that giver of fearlessness. If you can bring me out of this fear, I will be very grateful to you. you see. With this operation time, I was conscious. I was conscious. I was talking about philosophy. a philosophy of no problem. But I had a great problem. Philosophy of Vedanta means no problem. You see, in Vedanta you will find two things. No lack of dull moment. And second thing, no lack of good food. And no lack of finding a key to the solution of the problems of life as well as the fear of death. So that isn't why this Chandis, that idea came to Kalratri, Maharatri, Moratri Sudaruna. So I read many times, but when there is a saying called awakening comes not through pleasures, not through comfort, not through ease, while awakening comes through suffering. Not for all people, but those people who want to listen from the inner voice. And the inner voice represents the voice of the Guru, the voice of the Ishta. As I have said, Guru is the symbol of Nirguna Brahman, and the Ishta is the symbol of Shaguna Brahman. Although Sri Ramakrishna worshipped God as mother, my interpretation of mother is not that called the female principle or matriarchal society. Mother, it is taken from called the Shankar philosophy of Prakriti. It is Prakriti. But Shankar philosophy has made Prakriti and Purusha two dualistic principles. All changes belong to Prakriti, Prakriti Parinama. And Purusha, Aparinama, is like the witness. Now, if Prakriti Parinama means you are giving a mechanistic interpretation of life, you see. Einstein's example, through objective method of science, Akashanapana will ultimately go into primordial nature, you see. Therefore, you have to transcend nature. When you transcend nature, the distinction between Prakriti Parimana, Prakriti and nature and spirit will disappear. There is oneness of existence. You can accept materialistic monism, but we accept called spiritual monism. Better will be non-dualism, because monism is just a concept, but non-dualism is experience, in nirvikalpa samadhi. And so I said today's imagination is tomorrow's realization. So I imagined that Holy Mother gave me assurance that everything will be all right. And so the doctor was amazed. Doctor was amazed. In 3 days, I wanted to go to the center. And also there was called Easter and all, Good Friday. And he permitted. And everything became all right. Everything all right, you see. Therefore, impossible can be possible. If you have firm faith in God and firm faith in the Guru, in the Guru. Therefore, it is said the Guru. It is in Guru Stotram we find. See, Swami Prabhupada used to chant that. You see, Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti, Puja Moolam Guru Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Bhaktam, Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. In the Guru Stotram, Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti. See, although God has Murti as Murta and Amurta, form and formless, you see, but human beings, when we are personal, our God also will be personal, you see. That is, God will be impersonal when you have transcended the world of Maya. But we cannot transcend Maya without cultivating Sattik Prakriti, Sattik mind. Mind must be very pure. That is what Christ said, blessed are the pure in heart, but they shall see God. When we attain purity of heart, then we attain called Dhruvasmriti, constant remembrance of God. You see, Narada and Shankaracharya Sangvada in Chandogya Upanishad, Narada was a brilliant scholar, but he could not find inner peace, inner conviction, inner certainty. When he went to Sanatkumara, he gave the Ara Shuddho Sapta Shuddhi. When your thoughts are pure, your mind will become pure. When mind is pure, there will be constant, unbroken remembrance of God. And when you realize God as not only your Ishta, but as your Guru. That means you have to realize the Shaguna aspect of God in Shavikalpa Samadhi and Nirguna aspect of God in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And when you attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is no distinction between the individual soul and the universal soul. And that is the reason why Holy Mother used to say, whatever I am to do, I have done at the time of initiation, at the time of initiation. So this relationship between the Guru and the disciple is a very beautiful relationship, because the scripture says, more than father and mother, the Guru helps the student to reach the goal of immortality, the goal of freedom. And that is the reason why today I think that Holy Mother is not only the saintly mother, but the divine mother. But I did not understand her. But when I began to serve Swami Aseshananda, one day I said, Holy Mother has not given me any method. You please give some method. Then he scolded me. You are the greatest fool. You are the greatest fool that I have seen. Holy Mother is Jagat Janani. Not only Sangha Janani, he is Jagat Janani. And whatever is given, that the last word of spiritual life. You cling to the feet of the Mother. Dhyanamulam gror murti pujamulam guru padam mantramulam gror bakkam mokshamulam, the source of moksha, a Guru Kripa. Therefore, self-effort and divine grace, there will be a kind of conflict. You see, Buddha, take for example Buddha. Buddha emphasized self-effort. To his favorite disciple Ananda, he said, be a lamp unto yourself, Ananda. Work out your salvation with diligence. But Christ, he emphasized divine grace. You see, first, although he said, let this cup pass away, let this cup, he wanted to live. But he had the vision of his Heavenly Father, you see, Heavenly Father. And then he said, to thy hand I commend my spirit, you see. So we find that divine grace and also self-effort, this controversy can be completely solved when we listen to the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna says, the wind of his grace is blowing, but if you are a lazy sailor, you will not be availed, you will not be able to get benefit. So you keep the sails on the mast, and when the wind of his grace comes, you will go to your destination. You see, both are necessary. There should be what you call ascent of God and also descent, ascent of man and descent of God. So when we say ascent of God, then we have to think of the karma yoga. We will purify the mind. Nishkama karma yoga, that is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. But when our mind has become pure, we will go to a teacher, and Sravana, Manana, Nididhasana. That is what Jagavalka said to Maitri. You see, Jagavalka, he first was a brahmachari, then he was a grihastha, then a vanaprastha, then he wanted to renounce the Chaturthasrama. Then he asked the permission of Maitri. Then Maitri said to Jagavalka, what will happen to me? Well, I have given you enough money. You will be able to live a comfortable life. Then Maitri said, can one find real peace through wealth? He said, no. Na vitte na tarpanya manusya. You are living this beautiful relationship of husband and wife. We are living great devotees of God. For what reason? They judge ourselves to attain immortality. I am also seeker of the immortality. Please teach me. So you find Sri Ramakrishna also. When Holy Mother came, Sri Ramakrishna asked her this question, you see, have you come to bring my mind down to the world of Maya? Well, Holy Mother categorically replied, far from it. I have come to serve you. I have come to learn from you. I have come to help you in your spiritual life, you see. So Sri Ramakrishna, therefore this relationship between Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, we can say it is although it was the seed was sown in the Upanishad, but in our modern time, as it were, Holy Mother came to raise the status of all women. And these, because Christ, in one sense, I can say he had no problem, because he did not marry. Buddha had a problem. But afterwards he renounced his wife. When he came to Kapilavastu, he did not see. He did not see his wife, you see. All came that he, it reminds me of Swami Saradananda. Swami Saradananda comes to me, you see. When Buddha's son Rahula wanted to see his father, Buddha, after illumination he came, you see. Then he said, what shall I say? You say, Rajaputrami nahi bhikari, pitardhane mor purnodhikar. I am a prince, I am not a beggar. I have come to receive my heritage. Then Buddha gave him a broker cloth. So it reminds me in my own life. When Swami Aseshananda will ask me to go to the Belur Math, immediately I will go. But the manager Brahmachari, he will be angry with me. And he will say, I will fire you. But many times he excused. But one time he actually fired me. I had no work. Another person was doing my work. Then I went to Swami Saradananda upstairs. After I said, Maharaj, I have no work here, let me go to Belur Math. They will find lots of work. Then he said, you go and tell the Brahma. Then he quoted, Rajaputrami nahi bhikari, pitardhane mor purnodhikar. I am a prince, I am not a beggar. I have got every right to claim my heritage. You see. But our heritage is not simply called getting money or getting a reputation or honor. Our real heritage is to realize God. And that is the reason why we have to be patient. We have to be patient. Realization of God is possible only when we have known the unreality of the world and reality of God, and cling. So you find then that the spiritual life needs patience. Spiritual life needs alertness, and spiritual life needs determination. There will be many difficulties and problems, but if we escape, if we do not face, that is the reason Swamiji called face the brute. So, especially in this country, how many times I wanted to go away, see? But how many times? But you see, some people think they're probably various, no, because it is when there is a kind of relationship, you see. There is a relationship of the heart built from it is not from the intellect, you see. When I was writing my book, two books appeal to me very much. One is Plato's Trial and Death of Socrates. Although Plato was using his rational method when he was bringing his philosophy, but when he talked about Socrates, he, as it were, he opened his heart. So that Plato's Trial and Death of Socrates. And second book is Confession of St. Augustine. You see, if you read the Summa of, say, Thomas Aquinas, he was just indifferent. You see, therefore, when you read the Confession of St. Augustine, it is a very wonderful book. He speaks out his mind. You see, but I must tell you, it is St. Augustine was given the Western man called linear view of time. That time has a beginning and time has an end. But Einstein did not accept it. Time is relative. But relativity of time, again can be transcended, which is called timeless, as Shakespeare says. Shakespeare says, time must have a stop. Intellect is the fool of life. Intellect is the slave of life. And life is time's fool. Time that has sway over everything in the universe must have a stop. But time stops in deep sleep. But it does not solve our problem. The problem comes again, you see. But solution of the problems is through meditation and to receive the grace of God. Because if we think through our struggle, through our sadhana, we realize God, then realization is going to be effect of a cause. And that is the reason why Jame Vaisha Bhanute, he whom the Lord chooses. Christ also says that, you see, you have not chosen me, I have chosen thee. It reminds me of Swami Premananda. In 1918, I went to see him, Balram Bush's house. I went to see him. He said to me that, are you M's grandson? At that time I had a little Brahmanical pride. I said, Maharaj, no connection. I'm a Brahmin, he's a non-Brahmin. But Mayhem is a wonderful person. They know there is some kind of similarity between your nose and the nose of the grandson. I said, no. But he gave me prasad. He was very sweet, very kind. But when he was to leave this world, he did not want to take any medicine. Then the Shevak attendant went to Maharaj. Maharaj came and said, Bhavaramda, is it true that you won't take any medicine? No, Maharaj, I will take only Charanamrita. But you have sent Thakur, he will accept Mahendralal Sarkar's advice. You are Thakur's representative, whatever you say, I will do. Then take Charanamrita first, medicine second. The preference is Charanamrita, priority is Charanamrita. So Bhavaram has followed Maharaj's advice. Then last moment, I was not present, that I have heard. Maharaj said to Bhavaram Maharaj, Bhavaramda, is Thakur real? Is Sri Ramakrishna real? If you say so, then we will have faith. For Maharaj, it is not necessary. He was always in a God-conscious state. But teach us. Bhavaram Maharaj closed his eyes, then smiled a little. I see him very deeply, very intensely. So that is the reason why in the Bible we read, who has eyes to see, can see, who has ears to hear, can hear. So Sri Ramakrishna is a living presence. We are, as it were, at the feet of our great master. Not only he is in the shrine, he is also in our heart. And when we are extremely called Sri Ramakrishna called Bakul. Bakul means intensely enthusiastic in realizing God, like a drowning man longs for a breath of air. Christ also said, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. So seek and you shall find. It is the same. Therefore I find no distinction between the message of Christ and the message of Ramakrishna. Only thing I will say, because theological interpretation ends with the Shaguna aspect. That means God as the personal God. But Nirguna aspect means in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Atman and Brahman are identical. So Sri Ramakrishna, only in the gospel you read Sri Ramakrishna talks about bhakti, devotion. We must establish a relationship with personal God as an avatar. But afterwards, if you are spiritually developed, we'll be able to see he is the inner ruler immortal seated in the heart of all human beings. Ultimately, we'll find I and my father one. So Sri Ramakrishna also realized I and my mother are one. So this realization means that Sri Ramakrishna covers all the gamut of spiritual experiences. And he has not only built a bridge between East and the West, he has also built a kind of enormous power to awaken our spiritual consciousness and lead us by his kind, compassionate hand from darkness to light, from bondage to freedom, from ignorance to enlightenment. So that I am grateful to Swami Aseshananda for invited me. 1 year ago he invited me, but things did not work out well. Therefore it needs also a kind of propitious time. And this is also a very propitious time, 150th birthday of Sri Ramakrishna, and then anniversary of the founding of our Ramakrishna order. And more than that, a sadhu needs a companion of a sadhu. A monk needs the companionship of a monk, because our monastic life is not an exclusive monastic life. Atmanamurthartam jagadhitaya. We have come to realize our own goal through the grace of God, but also to serve human beings as symbols and expression of the Holy of the Holies. It is a great privilege for me to talk to you because you are all devotees. You belong to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna family consists of lay devotees as well as monastic followers. And so we should work together, hand in hand, and bring light in our own hearts. Because if you have no money, you cannot, your check will not be honored. You must have some money in the bank, you understand? Otherwise your money. Therefore sadhana is necessary. Sadhana is necessary, but also grace is necessary. And Sri Ramakrishna is the symbol of method, and Holy Mother is the symbol of grace. And when method and grace will be blended, then there will be symphony within, there will be symphony without, there will be symphony everywhere in the universe. That is what the Upanishadic says, Madhu vataritayate madhush karunti shindhava madhir na santoshadi madhu naktam utoshadi madhumanusva manuspati madhir gava bhavantuna. That means peace be unto earth, peace be unto heaven, peace be unto land, peace be unto waters, peace be unto plants, peace be unto animals, peace be unto gods, peace be unto nations, peace be unto races, peace be unto me, peace be unto all, peace be unto peace. So we are all devotees of our Master, and Master is looking after us. As I have said before, he has not failed me all these years, and so he will not also fail you. I commend you to the care of our great Master, who will enlighten your soul. I commend you to the fond affection of my Guru, my Ishta, the Divine Mother. May she hold you by the hand and lead you kindly to the goal of everlasting life, eternal freedom and unbounded peace and happiness. Thank you. Jam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marudaha Stunnanti Dibbaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramau Purishadai Gayanti Jang Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashanti Jang Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidhu Shurashuragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Our salutations to him who is the truth of life and existence, and whom the sages call by various names. Our salutations to him whose glory is sung in sacred hymns of the various scriptures of the world, but whose limitless and infinite grandeur no mortal mind can comprehend. Our salutations to him whom the devotees meditate in the shrine of their hearts and realize his ineffable presence in their deepest contemplation. May he illumine our understanding and prompt our minds to the path of truth and righteousness. May he reveal himself unto our souls and dispel the gloom of illusion, fear, doubt and darkness. Sarve atra shuginasyantu, sarve shantu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pushyantu, ma kaschid dukkham apnava. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May good betide all, may happiness come to all, may all see the face of truth and be fortified by the armor of love, goodwill and understanding. Om peace, peace, peace. Peace be unto us, peace be unto all living beings. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Tat Sat.
So, I should take this on a dare, but we won't shake.